Within this particular story, a mysterious and unknown terrorist organization emerged and took control, holding workers from the Dalnesian embassy as hostages against their will. The terrorists made their demands crystal clear, insisting on the release of their captured members along with $100 million to ensure the hostages would stay alive. The government made the decision to send in their local special forces team to handle the dangerous situation. However, the terrorist group eliminated them as easily as squashing bugs beneath their feet. Following that victory, they proceeded to set up explosive mines all around the entire building, making it completely impenetrable by even a ghost slipping through. Speaking of ghosts and mysterious figures, there existed a secret operative who went by the name Geist, which translates to the ghost, who had built a reputation for never failing at completing a mission successfully. But the terrorists dismissed this as nothing more than a legend and myth. While they were still engaged in casual chatting and conversation, someone managed to slip inside the building undetected. This intruder completely gutted 5 full squads of the armed terrorist group, using nothing except a sharp blade. The terrorists found themselves unable to hit this person with a single bullet, regardless of how intensely they tried. After Geist successfully took them all down and eliminated the threat, someone somewhere watched the recording of the entire event and celebrated with joy at how incredibly cool his movements appeared. The man openly confessed that watching Geist work remained great entertainment, no matter how many times he viewed the footage. Apparently, this scene took place 3 years into the future, and the man was reviewing how the embassy hostage crisis had been resolved and handled. The man informed Geist that this particular mission ranked as one of his absolute favorites out of all the jobs he had completed, and he mentioned that this footage had been secretly filmed using a special reconnaissance camera developed specifically by their company. He turned his attention back toward Geist, who sat tied securely to a chair, and he questioned him about where exactly he had originally come from, because his background remained a complete mystery. The man explained to Geist that he considered himself a massive fan of him because he had become a legend capable of taking down 10,000 enemies all by himself alone. He expressed that it felt like a shame to witness him being defeated by his insignificant, cowardly, and dirty little scheme. He described it as pitiful that the ghost he had admired so deeply and intensely would be taken out and eliminated by a fleeting and temporary human emotion. The man raised and pointed a gun directly at Geist's head and questioned him about whether he had any final last words to speak. However, Geist responded by telling him not to assume it would be so easy and simple to kill Geist the ghost. The man expressed pleasure that he had finally managed to get Geist to speak out loud, but he maintained his belief that Geist was just smiling as a bluff to conceal and hide his frustration and anger. Eventually, the man brought up and mentioned that he had saved the child Geist had discovered and found. This revelation made Geist absolutely enraged and furious. Without any delay, the man fired a bullet directly at the legendary Geist's head. He began considering how boring and unexciting the death of this legendary man turned out to be. Some amount of time later, Geist discovered himself surrounded by complete darkness, and he questioned where he currently was. He suddenly remembered and recalled that he had been shot in the head by that particular man, and he wondered why he was not dead yet. He remembered the powerful and strong feeling of rage burning in his heart, and he desperately wished to find some way not to let everything end like this. He considered it absolutely pathetic that he had allowed his guard to drop down because of that pathetic guy. And he came to the realization that getting emotional represented a failure as a professional operative. He could sense and feel himself running forward, and he kept hearing someone continuously tell him to stop running. So he wondered why everything was so noisy and loud. All of a sudden, he felt like something had hit him hard in the back of the head, and he heard the footsteps of a man approaching, and he made guesses about his height and body structure based on the sounds. When he finally opened his eyes, he discovered a mystery unfolding before him. A muscular and large man was attempting to hit him with a wooden stick. However, he quickly shifted and moved out of the way before the strike could land and hit him. This action annoyed the big guy significantly, who had thought he had successfully knocked him out unconscious with the previous hit. This entire situation confused Geist tremendously, and he wondered internally who this guy could possibly be. The big guy charged and dashed towards him once again, so Geist made the decision to defend himself properly even though he had no understanding of what was currently going on around him. When the guy came close enough, Geist punched him powerfully in the face. However, the guy did not seem fazed or affected in the slightest, and he questioned Geist about what that wimpy and weak punch he had just landed was supposed to be about. The guy grabbed hold of him and threw him violently on his head. Geist wondered why his attack had produced absolutely no effect whatsoever. He felt certain and sure his punch had connected properly. But when he caught sight of his reflection, he came to the realization that this was not his body at all, and he could not recognize who the person was. Geist questioned and wondered whose face he now possessed and wore. However, the bully positioned behind him ran toward him to impale him with a sharp stake. The guy made an attempt to pin Geist down firmly, but he suddenly vanished and disappeared from directly under him, which shocked the big guy completely. By his side, Geist looked directly at him. The big guy responded with anger, questioning him about where he had learned to move like that, as opposed to just allowing him to crush him obediently and without resistance. The big dude steps up to swing at Geist, but Geist slips out of the way just in time. Now the big dude comes in swinging his wooden stake, but Geist quickly dodges that one too. He notices the big dude is pretty basic with his moves, nothing tricky, so dodging should be simple. But the real problem is, his new body isn't fast enough to keep up with everything he wants to do. After taking that last punch, he realized beating the big guy wouldn't be easy if he stuck to his usual moves. He switches things up this time, ready to try a new move. He splashes some of the gross water down onto the ground, right in the guy's face, just to throw him off. When the big guy wedged down his face, he glances around and realizes Geist dipped out. He looks around, trying to figure out where the guy disappeared to. Up in the tree, Geist is just chilling, watching him from above. He notices right away that this body's seriously out of shape. Just climbing a tree leaves him totally gassed. Before doing anything else, he figures he should check out what's actually going on here. He remembers getting shot in the head by some guy who had the worst mouth. Now, he's stuck in some random guy's body he's never even met. Looking down at his uniform, he can tell he's in high school, but he's still totally lost about where he even is. He glances around and realizes he's standing in a park, office buildings all around him. The place looks low-key familiar, like he's been here before. He remembers seeing Japanese writing on the blonde guy's shirt, so now he's starting to think he might actually be in Japan. He starts thinking about how he ended up stuck in some scrawny dude's body, and it's wild to him that some random blonde guy is just throwing hands at him for no reason. Not long after, the blonde dude spots him chilling up in the tree and decides to climb up there too. As soon as he climbs up the tree, the big dude lets him know he's not letting him slip away this time. He swings the stick, aiming straight at Geist, but Geist moves out of the way super fast. He pushes off and lands on a different branch behind him. The big guy starts getting worn out, noticing Geist's moves are totally different now. He's kinda confused, so he wants to know what's up with Geist switching things up like that. Geist suddenly feels this sharp pain shooting through his wrist. He starts thinking if maybe he messed it up when he tried to break his fall using his weaker hand. He's standing there, soaked from the rain, and his right hand is messed up. It hits him that his body's running out of steam. He can't keep this up for long. The big guy points out he can't believe someone who looks like they've never even thrown a punch is actually joining this fight battle. Geist hears this and starts wondering what exactly a fight battle even is. The big guy lets him know that having Geist in the game basically guarantees him some easy cash. Geist hears that and finally gets it. This whole thing is basically a fight where cash is on the line. Now he's starting to understand what he's dealing with. After a while, Geist lets the big guy know he's about to show him something new. The big guy just stares, trying to figure out what this dude's even talking about and why he suddenly switched up his whole vibe. Geist points out that he's using way too much energy with every swing and burning out his arms for nothing. Since he's throwing all his power into his punches, Geist can read him like an open book and dodge everything. No matter how many times he tries, landing a single hit is basically impossible right now. The big guy gets pretty annoyed, so Geist just lets him know straight up that he talks way too much and his voice is tough to listen to. Geist basically says it'd be better if he stayed quiet while they're fighting. He keeps going, and that's when the big guy just loses it and charges at him, totally pissed. The big guy looks ready to snap and even says he'll take him out. Geist's eyes suddenly go cold, looking sharp and dangerous. Out of nowhere, the big guy suddenly freaks out. He takes a swing with his stick, aiming right at him, but Geist is quick and moves out of the way. Out of nowhere, a bunch of vines grab the big guy's leg and leave him hanging from a tree. He wants answers fast, but he charges straight at him and drives his knee right into the guy's face. Blood goes flying instantly. The big guy's hurting pretty bad, trying to figure out what just happened. He looks over at Geist, wondering if he really set up a trap in the tree that fast. Geist could tell he was going to climb up. His moves were pretty easy to read. Making something out of vines wasn't a big deal for Geist. The real challenge was actually getting him to walk right into the trap. The big guy catches on pretty quick. Geist was just messing with him on purpose to get a reaction. Geist reaches out and snatches the stick right away, no hesitation. He holds it up to the guy's neck, not messing around, basically telling him to spill what he knows about it. He wondered what this guy's deal was and why he kept coming after him. The big guy's totally lost, not getting what's going on. The other dude just points out that he should have known exactly what he signed up for when the fight started. Geist wants him to break down what a fight battle actually is. Geist gets impatient when the guy just stays quiet, so he grabs the stick and tries to jab him with it. Right before he can make a move, the big guy just throws in the towel. Geist has no clue what the guy's talking about. Out of nowhere, a voice came through and took the big guy's surrender. Geist looked down and realized it was actually coming from his phone. When he grabs his phone, he finds out they're stuck in something called the Suzuno rank battle. The match is where Kisuke Sakuraba went up against Yoshio Kudo. Turns out the body he's in right now is some dude called Kisuke, and just like that, he's been named the winner. Geist checked out the screen and suddenly noticed the whole fight was live online. He scrolls through the comments, not really getting what everyone's talking about, so he turns to Yoshio to figure out what's up. Yoshio, clearly annoyed, swatted the phone out of his hand. To him, it looked like the guy was just flexing the comments and showing off. Yoshio looks bummed out, thinking about how his prize money's gone, so he just wants Kisuke to let him go. Geist just goes in and lands another kick right to his face. He just takes him out cold, all because the guy couldn't keep it down. He grabs his phone and tries to power it up, but nothing happens. The thing's soaked and totally dead. Later on, he comes across Keisuke's stuff, and it suddenly clicks his soul's actually inside this guy's body now. He looks at the ID and finds out Kisuke's just 17. He can't help but think about who he really is. He still doesn't really get what's going on. He heads out to the address from Kisuke's student info, hoping he can dig up some answers. Geist strolls through the Izumi shopping district, taking in the sights. As he looks around, it hits him that Japan always stays the same. Nothing really changes here. Out of nowhere, he catches a lady yelling as a thief grabs her bag and takes off running. The guy sprints straight at Geist, and Geist's just standing there thinking Japan was supposed to be chill. He figures he should just keep his head down and stay out of any drama for now, so he keeps moving and tries not to get caught up in anything. She suddenly lets out another scream calling for help, but that's it. No one else is around. That moment takes Geist back to when he tried to help that kid in his old life. When the thief sprints by, Geist reaches out and snags his arm. The guy ended up letting go of the bag. The guy just stands there, totally stunned, when Geist suddenly slams him to the ground. He pins the guy down and cranks his arm back while the dude's still on the floor, making sure he can't move. Whenever Geist gets into a fight, that weird deadly vibe just sticks to him, and his eyes turn blue like always. Out of nowhere, he snaps back to his usual self. He's got a bunch of people around him in the district. Manaka, the woman who just had her bag snatched, pushes her way through the crowd, moving fast. Chinatsu, one of her friends, catches her eye and motions for her to head over. When they show up, the girls are all just staring, totally surprised that it's actually Chinatsu standing there. Kisuke, his older brother, held the dude down. Chinatsu looks over at Kisuke, curious about what he's up to. He suddenly gets that sinking feeling he's definitely messed up this time. Once the cops finished questioning them and let them go, Chinatsu wondered if Kisuke had been hiding his real strength all along. He keeps it to himself. As he's lost in thought, Manaka lets Chinatsu know that Kisuke isn't the type to hurt anyone, not even as a joke. That's when Geist finally figures out something he's got to try, even if it's his only shot. Chinatsu notices he's just sitting there, not saying much, and wonders what's up with him. He suddenly switches up, showing he was actually pretty scared. He explains that he only reached out his arm and leg and things just sort of happened on their own. He hurries over to Chinatsu, checking if she's alright. The girls chill out once they see he's back to his usual self. Later on, Chinatsu notices he's not wearing his glasses and wants to know what's up. He explains they broke when he took a spill earlier. Chinatsu checks if he's alright, but Manaka just admits he's always this clumsy. Once the girls head out, Geist just snaps back to how he usually is. He thinks he nailed Kisuke's personality pretty well. After all that, he sits down and starts sorting through everything the cops told him. He found out the older girl was Manaka Nanase, a 17-year-old who's been buddies with Kisuke since they were kids. Turns out she's not just a friend, but also goes to the same high school and is in his class. Chinatsu Sakuraba is 13 and she's Kisuke's little sister. It's just the two of them now since their parents aren't around anymore. Manaka's known these siblings since they were little kids. Right before dinner, Manaka and Chinatsu headed out to grab some groceries. Out of nowhere, they bumped into a guy trying to snatch someone's purse. From what they found in Manaka's bag, Geist finds out that Kisuke is actually a solid dude, super chill, and always looking out for his sister. He does pretty well in school, nothing crazy, just better than most. Sports though, yeah, that's not really his thing. Kisuke just looks like your average high school guy, so nothing really stands out about him at first. He thinks back, trying to figure out how he even got himself caught up in this Susano ranked battle. On the way home, Geist suddenly pulls Manaka aside to check how Chinatsu's doing. Manaka lets him know she's doing alright today, but there's something in her tone that makes it clear things aren't totally back to normal. He knew an attack could drop at any moment. Manaka tells himself he's got to stay chill while Chinatsu's out of the hospital for a bit. Geist could tell he was right all along. Just watching the way Chinatsu moved, it was obvious her heart was seriously messed up. Later, Manaka noticed Geist's clothes were trashed and asked him what happened. He just makes up a story, saying it was raining before and he slipped into a puddle. She eyes him, trying to figure out what he's up to. She lets him know she really hopes he didn't just go along with whatever Zakiya said, especially since he's strapped for cash right now. She mentions she's been hearing that Zakiya's been rolling with the wrong people lately, and he's picked up some sketchy side gigs. She also brings up how Zakiya nearly swung on him the other day. Geist just stands there for a bit, caught off guard, but then he pulls himself together, throws on a quick smile, and nods at her to say thanks for the advice. After some time, he thinks back on everything Monica mentioned about Sakia and Cash, and it finally clicks for him. He starts to see what's actually happening. Kisuke's got one thing on his mind. He needs cash for his sister's surgery. That's why he jumped into this streamed fight. It's his shot at covering her hospital bills. That night, he messes with his soaked phone, trying to get it to work again. While doing that, it clicks for him. Sakia probably set the whole thing up, and Kisuke just got dragged into some sketchy situation. He finally manages to get his phone working again. He spots the Susanoo rank battle icon and just freezes. The wild thing is, he definitely remembers spotting that same icon on his screen before. The badge on the guy who took him out was still on his jacket. He hooks up his phone to the computer, hoping he can break into the app and see what's really going on. He tries to get through, but the barrier's just way too solid. He's just working on a regular laptop, nothing fancy or high-end. He's sure this app is the real deal for the Susanoo event. They most likely use that setup to record and stream whatever's going on. He can't help noticing the icon. It's the exact same one that was on the badge that guy had on earlier. He's still totally lost on how he and Kisuke are connected. He's pretty sure this isn't just some random thing. Deep down, he knows his death and Susanoo are linked somehow. Turns out, the same guy who took him out is actually running this app. Geist hops online, scrolling through different sites to see what he can dig up about the Susanoo app. He starts hearing different takes about whether it's legit or not, and a bunch of people act kinda cautious around it. Susanoo is this fighting event you can get into if you download an app, but the app isn't something you find in the regular app store. You have to know someone or go through some shady links to get it. The app just throws out a random spot and time for the battle, and then it's go time right away. They set up a hidden stream and sent the fight out to everyone using all the newest camera gear. People have been talking about how the app's parent company might actually be linked to some government groups, so that could be why nobody's gone after them for all the shady stuff. It kind of feels like someone higher up is making sure nothing gets out. People online aren't sure if it's legit, but Geist knows for sure it's the real deal. You can tell he really won the last fight since $1,000,000 just dropped straight into his account. Geist starts to get it. The people running this app have way more power than he thought. The wild thing about all this, Geist's been gone for 5 years already. He got killed on May 11, 2023. That was 5 years back from today. Geist thinks back and realizes he probably never heard about Susanoo or the group behind it because they blew up fast in the 5 years since he died. Now he can't help but wonder if his death was the reason they got so big, like everything changed right after he was gone. Back then, maybe they already knew he'd hunt down the app's creator and take them out since he was already deep inside their group. Now, he's thinking that might be the reason that guy used his own sister to finish him off in his last life. He's still deep in thought when Kanai walks into the house. She shows up and makes sure everyone knows she's there. Geist already figured out from digging around online that this lady is Kisuke's aunt. He chooses to stick with how Kisuke would act, so he greets her with a big smile when she walks in. He lets her know he appreciates all the effort she puts in, just like he always does. She suddenly hops onto him and tells him to drop the formal stuff when saying her name. He calls her Kanai-chan, since he knows it gets to her when things feel distant between them. Geist sticks to calling her Kane-san, reminding her to keep it down since Chinatsu's asleep in the bedroom. After a bit, Kane lets him know he doesn't need to stress about Chinatsu's bills. She's got it covered. As she's talking, she suddenly realizes his glasses aren't there anymore. He stands there trying to figure out what to say next. She notices he's not wearing his usual glasses and points out he actually looks pretty good without them. She laughs and says if she was younger, she'd totally take him out on a date. Out of nowhere, she just throws up. Geist heads over to see how she's doing. She starts saying she doesn't feel well. While he's giving her a hand, Geist glanced at his phone and spotted a new notification. The next battle matchup just dropped. The next day rolls around, and Geist wakes up knowing he's got a fight to handle. He heads to the mirror, grabs some scissors, and chops off his bangs so nothing messes with his vision. He also leaves his glasses behind, wanting nothing to slow him down. Before Kisuke took over, his eyesight wasn't great. Geist notices his vision is next level now. Kisuke's new body isn't exactly built for anything wild. He's pretty weak right now, so he knows he'll need to put in some serious work if he wants to do anything cool down the line. He does feel a little bad for the guy who had this body before him, but at the end of the day, Kisuke's planning to use it for his own goals for the time being. While all that's happening, Chinatsu heads over to the hospital for a checkup. Kane ended up heading to work even though it was her day off, so neither of them would be back till late. Geist sees his chance and heads out, ready to handle things himself. He heads over to where the fight's going down. He spots way more drones flying around than before, so he knows this match is getting a ton of hype. He's not really into it, but he knows he's got no other option, so he just goes with it. He's got nothing else to go on, so this is his only shot at finding that guy. As soon as he walks in, he spots some dude off to the side just going at it with his shadowboxing routine. He figures out the dude has to be super quick and really on point. The guy finally spots him and quickly says sorry for not seeing him earlier. He was getting ready for the match, setting up his camera to record a video he planned to stream on his channel. Based on everything he's found online, Geist figures out the guy's name is Takeshi Mukai. The dude runs a YouTube channel all about combat sports. Geist steps up, gives a quick handshake, and lets everyone know who he is. Takeshi remembers catching his last match and can tell the dude's energy is on a whole new level now. He wonders if this is even the same guy he knew before. Geist just lets everyone know he's the guy. Takeshi thinks this guy comes off way more grown-up than most high school kids. He's not sure if he's just overthinking it, but it's got him curious. Geist notices that Takeshi picks up on things quick. The guy's got good instincts. Makes sense, since he used to box. Takeshi used to be a pro boxer, actually ranked 15th worldwide in heavyweights. Dude's got skills, and he's no stranger to serious fights. At least, that's what he found when he looked him up online. Years back, his opponent lost his life during a match put on by a big company, and that whole disaster in the ring pushed him to call it quits for good. Geist scrolled through old clips of his fights and realized he fought best up close, moving fast and dominating inside the ring. He's got this move where he can rush in and land a right hook out of nowhere. Even after retiring, he's still grinding every day, keeping up with his training for his combat sports channel. Geist could tell right away that the other guy was way stronger just from watching him shadowbox. Even though Geist had all that experience from his past life, taking him on in Kisuke's body was not going to be easy. Right before the match starts, Takeshi lets Geist know he noticed how wild his moves got in the second half of that last match. Seriously, most high school guys wouldn't pull off stuff like that. He knows everyone watching his channel is waiting for him to crush it again. He looks at Geist and hopes he'll chill out a bit. This time, Geist's locked in and way more ready than before. He already knows the whole layout of those ruins, like every corner and hiding spot. He's run through every possible scenario in his head, ready for anything wild that might come up. The game kicks off pretty quick. Geist turns around and takes off in the opposite direction. He wants to watch how Takeshi reacts first, using his own mental playbook to decide what to do next. Takeshi didn't waste a second, he rushed over, calling out Geist for trying to pull something sneaky. Geist didn't expect that kind of speed, and it hit him that Takeshi's even quicker when things get real. Geist knows he's pretty much toast if Takeshi gets in close, since Takeshi's hands are crazy in a fight. Geist turns to bolt in the opposite direction, thinking he can get away, but Takeshi just lets him know there's no chance he'll keep up, no matter how hard he tries to sprint. Takeshi cracks a joke about his comment section probably blowing up if they don't start actually throwing hands, so he steps up and swings a punch at Geist. Geist moves quick and dodges the punch, but the dude's speed still catches him, leaving a scrape. Kashi didn't expect to move out of the way that fast. He steps up and swings again, ready to land another punch. Geist notices he's throwing out his usual right hook, but deep down he knows it's probably not going to end well for him. Takeshi swings for a right hook, but something throws him off before he can land it. He didn't see it coming when Geist just stepped in and blocked it. He didn't expect Geist to block his hook from that close. Deep down he had to admit Geist actually had some serious skills. He steps back fast, already thinking Geist's planning something sneaky. Geist goes for it. He thought the guy would come at him with that right hook everyone knows him for. That's just the way he fights when he's in the ring, doing his thing as a pro boxer. He realized if he took that hook straight on, it'd be lights out, so he grabbed an iron plate and used it to shield his hand, ready to block the hit. Takeshi gets caught off guard, thinking about how Geist showed up so ready. He even starts to question if Geist is actually just a regular high school kid. In the back of his mind, Takeshi knows it won't look great on his stream if some random with zero boxing skills can shut down his go-to move like that. He figures Geist is probably racking up a crazy amount of likes right now. He charges at him again, trying to level the playing field. Geist throws up his iron plate just in time and stops the attack. Takeshi didn't see that coming. He just goes off, throwing punches with both hands as fast as he can. Geist throws up his guard, but these punches come at him way faster and harder than he expected. He's stuck just blocking every move since there's literally no way in. He can already tell his body's about to give out if this keeps up. Takeshi starts to notice that Geist's way harder to beat than he expected, and his viewer points just aren't moving up. He decides it's time to pull out a move he's kept hidden. Takeshi swings his fist again, aiming another right hook. Geist steps up and blocks it, but turns out that was just a setup to throw him off. Takeshi throws a left hook and catches him right in the chest. He loses his balance and almost trips. Takeshi steps up and swings his right fist. Geist moves quick and just steps out of the way, then hops back to keep some space. Everyone watching couldn't get enough of the way Takeshi faked a right hook and then went straight for the body shot. Now everyone's just trying to figure out what Kisuke's gonna do to flip this whole thing. In the ruin, Takeshi starts thinking about whether everyone in the comments section went wild after he pulled off that move. He points out that his rivals are all aware of his go-to right hook, so he flips that on them and takes advantage when they start playing too cautious. Geist notices that Takeshi isn't just throwing random punches, he's actually thinking things through and switching up how he fights based on what Geist does. Takeshi's got zero doubts about how fast he is. Geist notices what's up and figures he can use it to his advantage, so his eyes go blue again. Takeshi catches himself plotting out a way to win, but he's way too hyped to wait around. He moves in quick, ready to end it with Geist. He charges in, throwing punches fast, but Geist just blocks every single one. While he's throwing punches, Takeshi can't help but think about what Geisner's really up to. He looked way too chill, even though he should have been scrambling to block those punches. He gets this weird gut feeling, and after Geist, he showed off another punch, making it look easy. Geist comes in hard, throwing a right hook. Kashi manages to slip out of the way just in time. He hurries back, thinking that was way too close, and honestly, he's stunned that Geist actually pulled it off. He starts to question himself, trying to figure out what kind of person he actually is. Right then, he tenses up. He rushes in, throwing even more punches, not letting up for a second. Geist just keeps shutting everything down. He wanted to land a punch on Takeshi before, but his body just couldn't keep up. He can tell his body's almost done for, and he knows the next move could be his last shot. Takeshi keeps throwing punches, but he can tell Geist isn't just standing there, he's already planning his next move. He thinks Geist won't be able to read his right hook just because Geist blocked it one time. Out of nowhere, Geist slipped past Takeshi's punch like it was nothing. He swings and throws a punch right at the guy's face. Takeshi notices right away. This time, the guy just lets it happen. No pushback, nothing. Takeshi's caught off guard, not gonna lie. Geist waited for the perfect moment and fired back with a counterpunch, catching his opponent right as they came in fast. The guy's own speed and weight made the hit way harder than any regular punch, like, it landed with extra force because they basically ran straight into it. With this move, Geist used Takeshi's speed to make up for Kisuke's weak punches. But pulling off that kind of counter takes insane reflexes, and he knew there was no way he could go toe-to-toe with Takeshi when he was at his best, so he just waited for the right moment when Takeshi started slipping. He sat there scrolling through Takeshi's match videos, eyes glued to the screen. Geist figured out why he kept losing so much. He was already gassed because he kept throwing those wide right hooks, burning through his energy way too fast since he was trying to rely on his speed. When Geist saw Takeshi starting to sweat a lot and his breathing getting rough, he could tell he wasn't as quick as before. That opened up a chance for Geist to hit back hard, using Kisuke's body to pull it off. Takeshi just stays down for a bit, not moving. He eventually pushes himself up until he's on his knees. Kashi starts shaking, pretty clear he just took a real hit. He looks around and makes up his mind. There's no way he's going out like this here. Fueled by that anger, he steps up and throws another right hook. Geist tries to lift his arm. He expects it to budge, but nothing happens, and that totally throws him off. Geist notices his body's taken a beating and he's straight up worn out. He suddenly gets it. He really didn't give Takeshi enough credit. Right then, Takeshi keeps reminding himself that losing isn't an option. He's got winning on his mind because his family's counting on him. Susanna. Out of nowhere, Takeshi glances over and spots something. He spots Susanna just standing there and starts wondering what she's doing in this place. He faces forward, getting ready to throw down, but Geist just launches himself up into the air and he throws a roundhouse kick and catches Takeshi clean. Kashi starts thinking about what kind of guy he really is, but he doesn't waste time overthinking. He just moves quick, dodges the hit, and then goes for the win with a counter. Actor, he reacts fast and gets his guard up, stopping the first hit. He doesn't catch that Geist's already launching another kick with his other leg, not even looking at where it's going. The thing comes flying and smacks him right in the face. He gets slammed to the floor. Takeshi's eyes go wide when he sees this dude pull off a double roundhouse kick, back to back. He starts thinking like, how does this guy even know Taekwondo? He starts seeing tiny dolphins swimming around in his head, and before he knows it, everything just fades to black. Takeshi remembers that moment in the ring when his opponent didn't make it out alive. He got seriously pissed off. His wife tried to explain it was just an accident and said it wasn't his fault, but after he got wasted, he just cut her off and didn't want to hear it. Takeshi thinks everyone out there sees him as a killer. He starts calling his wife out, saying she's just like that deep down. She tries to convince him she doesn't actually think that way. He just points at the door and basically kicks her out. Ever since then, he hasn't seen his wife or his daughter at all. A few years down the line, he jumped into streaming videos, hoping it would help him move past all the regret and tough feelings he'd been dealing with. After a while, he got a letter from his wife, letting him know Susanna was the one who made the charm for him. She really wanted her dad to take the world champion title. This charm had Takeshi grinning way harder than when he won his championship belt. Ever since then, he set his sights on blowing up and stacking more cash, hoping that one day he could bring his family back together. Right now, Takeshi's just stuck there, not able to move at all. Geist gets called out as the winner. The commentator can't believe Takeshi just took an L against some random high school kid, and he's totally freaking out about it. Geist grabs the charm and he figures out he was about to take an L if Takeshi hadn't just paused out of nowhere. He stepped in and nailed back-to-back roundhouse kicks, both of them swinging wide. He can't figure out what Takeshi was staring at. He glances around and spots a girl just standing there. She wants to know what he's even doing this for. Turns out it's actually Manaka. Geist can't figure out why she even showed up. When the drone spots her sneaking in, Geist grabs her and pulls her along, making sure they get out of there fast. Manaka finally got out of there, breathing hard and trying to catch his breath. Geist wants to know what she was doing at that old, run-down place. She showed up to check on him since he seemed off when they ran into each other the day before. He wonders how she even spotted him there in the first place. She lets him know that both their phones are set to share locations with each other. He kept his guard up around Chinatsu, just in case things went sideways again. Geist suddenly remembers he forgot to check the tracking app. Kazuki had left his phone out, not really thinking about it. That night, Geist heads out and starts dropping from some seriously risky spots. He's out there doing parkour, just moving fast and smooth like it's second nature. The way it moved was wild, super flashy, jumping around like it was showing off for a crowd. Most people think it's just some dangerous sport, but actually it's a legit training method with its own rules and mindset behind it. This isn't really about chasing wild stunts or crazy risks. It's more about figuring out what your own body can actually do and then pushing yourself to reach your best. He knew it was risky, but honestly, getting thrown right into it was the fastest way to figure out how this body worked. He checks out his arms and legs, seeing how strong they are and how far his joints can move. He keeps pushing himself until he can't go any further, just to figure out what he's actually capable of right now. Geist can barely move in this body, and it's not just because he's weaker than everyone else he's up against. He just wasn't used to this body yet. Doing what he used to do was going to be tough. He knows his fighting would level up big time once he gets used to this new body. While he's putting in work at training, his mind drifts back to when Manaka wanted to know if he'd taken. IKEA decided to go along with the sketchy deal the guy mentioned earlier. About 2 hours back, he figured it was time to just come clean to Monica about what went down with Susano, especially since she'd already seen everything. In the flashback, she just stared at him, totally thrown off, thinking he was acting weird. She can't figure out why he just showed up one day with his hair chopped off. She tells him to chill out before things get out of hand. Geist realizes he's not finished yet, so he keeps going until the job's done. He hunts down the guy who ended his life, and he's got Kazuke's back, helping him get cash together for Chinatsu. Geist lets Monica know that giving up just isn't on the table. Nobody really knows when Chinatsu's heart might stop working, so they have to move fast to get her a new one. She was going to have surgery in another country, but her insurance wasn't going to help with any of it. Altogether, the whole thing was going to cost at least 500 million yen. Geist realized that's why Kisuke decided to jump into the Suzuno fight. Geist gets that this isn't really his problem, but since he's stuck in this body, he figures he'll respect what Kisuke wants for now. Geist flashes a confident grin, letting her know he's got it covered. He's not sweating it at all, mostly because he feels like he's leveled up lately. Monica looks at him and wonders why he's the one getting thrown into something this risky. She wants to know why he never brought it up to her, and she straight up admits she knows she can't really be counted on or do much about it. She gets upset and tears start rolling down her face. He wonders if he even matters to him, like he's just some random nobody. She bolts, not even slowing down when Geist tries to hold her back. Right now, he's thinking he really doesn't want to deal with all this drama. He knows he can't just sit back and watch, he's got to handle it. He gets distracted and totally misses the railing he's supposed to grab as he jumps over. He dives straight down and doesn't make it out alive. He lands hard, but a tree under the railing stops his fall. When he gets back home, Chinatsu sees him and literally can't believe how messed up he looks. She's instantly worried and wants to know what went down. He messes around and says he tripped again, not really serious about it. Chinatsu wanted to know if he'd gotten into it with Manaka. Geist honestly didn't see that coming and wondered what made her bring it up. She told everyone she'd called her not long ago, and it was obvious she wasn't doing great. Chinatsu figured Manaka probably roasted his new haircut, so she just played along and said it looked kinda wild. She tells Geist he's got some making up to do. She also lets him know straight up that playing the middleman isn't her thing anymore. They're grown now, not little kids. Having a big brother who can't seem to get it together always keeps his little sister on edge. Geist thinks back to his little sister, remembering how she used to say he'd be totally lost without her. He suddenly stops moving, and Chinatsu notices right away, wondering if something's up with him. He says sorry, but she tells him he's got to say sorry to Monica at school tomorrow. Geist suddenly realizes he actually goes to this school. The next day, he just goes to school like usual. Walking in, he spots Manaka looking down, like he just took an L. He steps in, doing whatever he can to block her. Some random dude nearby notices Geist's fresh haircut and calls it out. Geist doesn't recognize him at all, so he starts trying to figure out who this guy even is. The dude with total bully energy turns to Geist and wants to know if he looks cool. The guy steps up, grabs Geist, and lets him know it's time to talk. The guy leads Geist behind the school, kinda surprised that Geist managed to win 2 fights back-to-back. Right away, Geist clocks that this dude has to be the one who called out Kisuke to throw down in Suzanu's Sakiya Yuji. Sakiya's got this proud vibe going on since he was the one who brought him in. Before this, Geist had already broken into the school's system and pulled up Sakiya's info. Sakiya barely shows up to class, and when he does, he doesn't really care about what's going on. Most people at school see him as a troublemaker, and if you check the school's unofficial site, his name always pops up for the wrong reasons. His rep is just straight up bad among the students. He's deep in stuff like robbery, shaking people down for cash, messing with illegal drugs, and setting up sketchy part-time gigs. People say he runs a small gang, but even with all the wild stuff he's done, the cops have never caught him slipping. Word is, there's a reason for that. Word online was that Sakiya had some wild underground crew backing him, so the cops just left him alone. Geist starts thinking hard about this secret group. Maybe they're the ones pulling the strings behind Susano. He can't help but be curious about how Sakiya fits into all of it. Sakiya sees that Geist isn't saying anything and wonders if he's nervous. Geist decides to just act clueless for now. He grins and wants to know how he can help Sakiya. Sakiya just brings up his share because, yeah, that's what this is really about. He points out that Geist wouldn't have made that cash without his help in the first place, so it's only fair he gets his cut rules or rules. Sakiya noticed the prize for a D-rank fight was $1 million, so since Geist had 2 wins under his belt, he should be sitting on $2 million by now. Sakiya tells him he can get it for 1.8 million yen since it's his first time. Basically, Sakiya's cutting him a deal. Geist acts like he's rattled and pushes back, saying he can't go along with it. Earlier, he was confused about why Sakiya wanted to meet up, but now it clicks. Sakiya just wants to squeeze some cash out of him. At this point, Geist sees him as nothing more than a small-time thug. Geist figures he's probably not on the radar for that seeker group, so he just goes with it and pretends he belongs. Out of nowhere, one of the guys in the gang looks at Sakiya and throws out the idea that they should just take Manaka instead of the cash, since he thinks she looks good. He thinks he'd pick that over cash any day. Geist reaches out and yanks on his shirt. He notices his body just starts doing its own thing, like he's not even in control anymore. The big guy just freezes for a second, totally thrown off, and then sizes him up like he can't believe what's happening. Without wasting time, he swings at him, trying to land a punch. Geist just throws his own punch and slams the guy's face straight into the ground. Geist drops the dude with one solid punch. His eyes turn that familiar deadly blue, and the whole area around him shifted, taking on that same intense vibe he always gets. Everyone else just freezes. They look over at the big guy and see he's totally knocked out. Out of nowhere, an adult spots them and quickly steps in, wanting to know why they're hanging around. Sakiya lets everyone know it's time to bounce and get out of there fast. He notices right away that Geist isn't just some regular guy, especially after seeing how he moved just now. Now he gets it. Those last 2 wins weren't just luck. The guys dip out fast. As they take off, Geist just hopes things don't blow up and cause him more headaches. The guy walks over to see if everything's cool, but it's actually just Takeshi. He can't believe it. Turns out Geist was behind everything the whole time. Afterwards, they talked for a bit. Takeshi mentioned he got close since the person reminded him of someone he knew. He honestly didn't think he'd see the guy again so soon, not after bumping into him just 2 days ago. Geist wants to know why he's even at the school right now. Takeshi lets everyone know he actually finished school here. He got an offer to coach the boxing club, and at first he was planning to say no, but then he changed his mind and ended up taking the job. He wants to know if Geist has any clue about why he stopped boxing, but Geist just stays quiet. Takeshi starts talking about the mess that went down in the ring, the whole thing that ended up tearing him away from his family. He jumped into YouTube and joined Susano, thinking this was his shot at getting big and making bank. He just wanted his family together again. He realizes now that Dream was pretty surface level. After Geist knocked him out, something clicked in his memory. Back then, his family always smiled when they watched him go all in on boxing. After he took that L to Geist, his daughter actually reached out for the first time in forever. She started catching him up on her middle school life and even mentioned she's always checking out his videos. The thing that really got to him was when she admitted she liked her dad more back when he was a boxer, not now as a YouTuber. That's when he figured out the cash and clout were really just for him. Takeshi finally gets what his daughter wanted. She just wanted him to stop living in the past and actually move forward. He's decided he's going to give boxing another real shot, this time for real. Geist grabs one of the dolphin charms that dropped that day. He explained that he was just trying to find a way to return it to him. Kashi didn't expect to see that, and it definitely caught him off guard. Geist admits he took it and was planning to give it back, but then something totally random happened and he had to dip out fast. Geist wants to know if the gift came from his kid, and he nods, letting him know that's exactly where it's from. That moment takes Geist back to when his sister handed him a good luck charm. The whole time they're hanging out. Geist's phone buzzes. He just got a heads up about a new fight. He freezes for a second when he spots who he's up against next. That night, Manaka couldn't stop replaying how she dipped out on Kisuke. She just wasn't ready to deal with him face to face, so she bailed. She gets that things can't stay this way, but she has no clue how to actually fix it. Out of nowhere, a bus rolls by right in front of her. Someone grabs her and yanks her inside the bus. That night, the Susanoo battle was set up as a special promo match. They picked this rundown high school in Tokyo that's about to get knocked down. Nobody really knows who Kisuke is, but people have seen him take out some big names in the ring. Even though he's just ranked D, he's already made a name for himself by beating some serious competition. Kisuke just pulled off back-to-back wins, so now they're giving him a shot at a promotion match. If he pulls off a win in this match, he's moving up the ranks fast. At the same time, Geist is just stuck thinking about how wild it is that they picked Kisuke's old high school spot for the fight. He also knows the guy he's up against is only a C-rank fighter, Sakiya Yuji. Most of the time, people just quit when they go up against Sakiya because everyone knows how he dominates matches. Now, everyone's watching to see if Keisuke will end up bailing like the rest. Geist isn't ready to go up against Sakiya this early. He had already checked out old videos of his fights before showing up here. Watching all the videos, it looked like he and his opponents were pretty evenly matched skill-wise, but for some reason, most of them just kinda gave up halfway through, which was honestly odd. Right before the match kicks off, Sakiya lets Geist know he's planning to wipe the floor with him. As soon as the match starts, Sakiya charges straight at him, swinging an expandable baton. Sakiya goes for a swing at him, but Geist dodges quick and gets out of the way. Sakiya swings at his face again, sure there's no way he's getting out of the way this time since they're so close. Geist leans way back just in time, dodging the hit like he's got crazy reflexes. Sakiya thinks he just got lucky. He keeps going for hit after hit, but Geist just slips past every swing like it's nothing. As Geist moves out of the way, he picks up on how solid Sakiya's stance is. That kind of form doesn't just happen. Dude's definitely trained, probably in kendo or something, maybe even a black belt. Geist figures Sakiya's the type who's never taken an L in a street fight with other delinquents. Dodging the guy was no problem for Geist. He could tell all that parkour training was kicking in, and moving around in this body was starting to feel normal. After a while, Sakiya lets Geist know that getting a bit stronger doesn't mean he can just start acting wild. He wants Geist to check out the school building right across from where they're standing. Geist glances around and spots the rest of the gang hanging out nearby. Geist saw Sakiya grabbing Monica and keeping her close, not letting her move. It hit him that Sakiya always tries to win by grabbing people, using them as leverage and messing with his enemies just for kicks. He lets him know straight up what's coming if he tries to fight back, since they're about to mess with Manaka. He starts thinking out loud to Geist, curious about how she'd react if he messed with her right there, not holding back even though Geist is watching. Geist catches on that Sakiya actually enjoys messing with people he thinks are beneath him, almost like he gets a kick out of their pain. Geist isn't really happy about how things are going right now. He isn't about to drop his hunt for whoever's running Susanoo just because Sakiya might come out on top. Sakiya goes for another swing, but his body just locks up like he can't move at all. Sakiya lands a solid hit right on Geist's forehead. Geist can't figure out why his body just stopped moving again, almost like someone hit pause on him. Sakiya calls him a good boy, and Geist suddenly notices he can't move at all. Before he can figure out what's going on, Sakiya hits him again. Geist starts thinking maybe his own body isn't listening to him anymore. He thinks back to the time he went after that huge dude and just started swinging on him. He already realizes that if anyone can pull this off, it's Keisuke. He suddenly figures out that Keisuke's actually still alive inside this body. After a while, Sakiya lets Geist know he might let him off the hook, but only if Geist actually gets down and asks for forgiveness. Out of nowhere, Geist's eyes start glowing blue. Sakiya gets heated and decides he's had enough of that smug look, so he goes at him, ready to knock that attitude out. He grabs the baton and just goes off, hitting him in the face again and again. The commentator starts thinking about what's up with Geist and why he just can't handle Sakiya coming at him like that. While this is going down, one of the gang guys blames Monica, saying her boyfriend's getting wrecked because of her. Monica sat there, tears running down his face, just wishing Keisuke would get out of there. While that's going on, the dude standing behind her catches a quick look at her drink. Just looking at it, his mouth starts to water. He goes for it and sneaks a quick touch. Right as he's about to go for it, the other dude steps in and tells him to chill, since Sakiya said to leave the good stuff for later. Shono, the biggest guy there, doesn't really get what's wrong with sneaking a little early, and Suzuka's on the same page, since they usually just get leftovers after Sakiya's done. Shono goes over and starts untying Monica, getting ready so they can mess around before anyone else. Manaka suddenly gets what these guys are planning to do to her. Once he gets the ropes off, she bolts straight for the window, hoping to escape, but she can't get it open and ends up stuck there, kind of panicking. The guy catches up quick and Shono just shakes his head, thinking she's clueless. It's the 4th floor, nowhere to go. Shono starts talking about how he thinks it's exciting when a girl tries to get away, but the third guy just laughs and says Sakiya's not going to let that slide. She'll definitely rough him up later. Once Monica pops open the window on the 4th floor, she notices a pipe close by and uses it to climb down. The guys freeze for a second, totally caught off guard by what she's doing, then scramble to pull her back before she does something reckless. Monica just keeps sliding down the pipe, not stopping for anything. Out of nowhere, the pipe just drops away from the one above it. Sakia keeps pounding Geist's face, not letting up for a second. Geist, barely hanging on, starts to think that maybe this is it for him. He tries reaching out to Kasuke, knowing Kasuke is the one who's probably trying to stop whatever's going on with the body. He lets Kasuke know he's really trying to help that girl out, and adds that he respects how determined Kasuke is. He lets him know straight up, Sakia isn't the type to break a promise. If he doesn't step up and fight, Monica's off limits, no questions asked. Geist admits to him that he feels guilty about how things turned out. Like, it's messed up that a dead guy ended up taking over his body. Still, Geist really wants him to hang in there and let him use his body just a bit more. He's made up his mind to look out for the stuff and people that matter most to him. Sakia goes for another swing at Geist, but Geist dodges fast and jumps clear, not getting caught this time. Sakia got annoyed and started thinking this guy was being a real jerk, like he was just trying to mess with him on purpose. Geist suddenly gets it. Kasuke just gave him the green light. Geist nods, ready to stick to what he said, but Sakia doesn't let up and warns him about going after Manaka. Out of nowhere, Geist catches Manaka yelling. She's hanging off a pipe, and it's starting to bend back like it's about to snap. He starts thinking about her, kinda curious about what she's up to right now. He bolts straight over to Sakia, not wasting a second. He swings at Geist, but Geist just dodges and slips right by him, catching him off guard. Geist dropped down behind Sakia, hopped over the railing, and just straight up jumped off the 4th floor. At first, the commentator thought Geist was trying to end it all, but then he spotted the fire hose Geist was holding on to. When Manaka's pipe snapped, she started falling, but Geist wasn't actually trying to bail on life. He had a plan. Geist grabs the hose, swings it fast, and snags her right out of the air. She didn't expect to run into him, but he called her out for being wild, and then they hooked up. He finally touches down. As they check what's going on behind him, Sakia can tell things just got messed up. He gets his squad ready and charges at Geist, all in one go. Geist looks at them, thinking about how tough it's going to be to fight off 4 guys at the same time, especially since he's already hurt and trying to keep Monica safe too. One of the gang guys suddenly charges straight at him, not wasting a second. Geist steps up and just drops him with a solid hit to the jaw. He's out cold, didn't even see it coming. Out of nowhere, someone steps up and says you can't roll up with backup to a one-on-one fight. The guy's clearly not having it. He wants to know why these other people even showed up when it was supposed to be just 2 guys squaring up. Geist suddenly figures out that the hooded guy grilling them is someone he actually knows. Takeshi sits there, trying to figure out what even brought him to this place. Geist sees Takeshi show up out of nowhere and wonders why he's even here. But Takeshi just gets ready to fight, basically saying they'll deal with the rest after. Suzuka suddenly pulls out a knife during the fight and goes right at Geist, trying to cut him even though it was supposed to be just fists. Chono grabs a chair and charges at them, trying to force them to give up Manaka. Geist just launches himself right over Chono's head. He told Takeshi to grab Monica and get out of there fast. Manaka isn't cool with Kisuke trying to handle everything by himself, since going solo in a fight like that is just asking for trouble. Takeshi doesn't waste any time, he grabs her arm and just bolts. Geist lets him know he owes him a favor. Manaka tries to argue, saying Takeshi backed off to keep Kisuke safe, but Takeshi tells her she'd just mess things up if she stayed. He wants her to focus on getting out if she actually cares about his safety. Manaka's thrown off and asks who this guy even is and why he showed up. Geist explains he's just paying back a small debt to Takeshi, and he also knows the guy Takeshi's up against has a pretty rough reputation. Everyone found out that Takeshi had the whole match live on stream. He realized something wasn't right with Kasuke while they were playing. He just stood there, not even bothering to move out of the way. He pulled up fast in his car, thinking Sakia was probably up to something shady. Takeshi lifts Manaka into the car. She really wants him to forget about her and help Kei, since there's no way he can handle 3 guys by himself. But Takeshi sticks to what Kasuke told him to do and hits the road. Chono grabs an iron bench and swings it at Geist, going all in. Geist moves out of the way, not getting hit, while the drones just keep filming everything. Geist doesn't waste a second, he's already there. He drives his knee straight into Chono's chest, sending him crashing to the floor. Suzuka rushed up behind him with a knife ready to attack. Geist was quick though, and made Suzuka stab the bench instead. Right after, Geist landed a solid kick to Suzuka's face and dropped him, knocking him out cold. While all this is going down, the commentator can't stop talking about how insanely fast Geist moves and how he just switches up to fit wherever he is. Not long after, Sakia notices his guys are already knocked out and just shakes his head, thinking they're basically useless. Geist looks over at him, letting him know he's the last one standing. With no one else left, Geist signals for Sakia to step up and face him. He wonders if Sakia's actually scared of a guy who's down bad, or if losing his upper hand just turned him soft. Already annoyed, Sakia charges at him, swinging the baton, not wasting any time. Geist, who started all this on purpose, hangs back and watches as the guy comes closer. He gets that Sakia's confidence is so weak, even a small tease could totally wreck him. Sakia swings the baton at him, really going for it. Geist can already tell his moves aren't going to hit as clean since he's thrown off his game. Out of nowhere, Geist reaches up and catches his hand before it lands. He gets slammed face first into the ground, his lips getting busted up. Sakia just stands there, totally stunned by what's going on. He looks up just in time to catch Geist raising the baton, ready to end it right there. Not long after, Geist came out on top and wrapped things up with this insane move called weaponless disarm. Everyone watching is straight up stunned, and one dude starts thinking if Keisuke's got sword skills too, since the way he shows off his strength is just wild. Later on, Geist notices he's bleeding way more than he thought and knows he better get help fast before things get worse. Soon, a light shows up for her. He and the cops showed up and shut the whole party down. Geist clocks that things are about to go south, so he gets ready for whatever's coming next. The cops pulled up fast, trying to catch Sakia and his crew before they could dip. They were the main targets all along. Later on, Chainatsu checks in with Kane to see if she's got a late shift today. Kane says sorry since she's right in the middle of telling something big. Chainatsu could tell something was off and didn't want Kune to go overboard, but Kune just brushed it off and acted like everything was chill. Keen brings up grabbing food together once they get back. She wants to know what's up with Kiseki since she heard he took a spill down the park stairs last night and got banged up. Shinatsu lets on that her older brother showed up at home all scratched up, and Keen just calls him out for being super clumsy. Geist sits back, eyes glued to the screen as the news breaks down how Sakia's crew got busted last night. Every TV channel that morning was walked in on their arrest. Geist couldn't believe how fast the news blew up online, especially since it all happened just yesterday. He couldn't believe what they were accusing him of. So, turns out the gang was deep in some serious stuff. Robbery, sexual assault, drug dealing, and way more. And the wild part is, they were all still underage. What really got the media buzzing was that Sakia's dad isn't just anyone, he's actually the Deputy Commissioner General for the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. Everyone online started guessing about Sakia's dad. Some people think a big-time politician could be hiding the truth about what happened, but Geist isn't buying it. Back in the day, Geist let Takeshi know his next fight was against a C rank. Takeshi honestly didn't expect to get a shot at moving up so quick, especially after only 2 matches. Geist has no clue what the guy's talking about. Takeshi breaks it down, saying the ranks go from S at the top all the way down to D. Everyone who joins starts out in Class D, right at the bottom. Their shot at moving up depends on how well they do in fights and how much the audience vibes with them. When someone's rank goes up even a little, everything changes. The way people treat them, the respect they get, all of it. That's why everyone in Susano is grinding hard to move up. Geist just found out that cops basically ignore crimes if you're a C-rank fighter, and it honestly caught him off guard. Right now, Geist can't stop thinking about how weird the cops acted last night. They just acted like he wasn't even there and went straight for Sakia, cuffing her like it was nothing. If what Takeshi said is actually true, then Susano's management basically owns the state too. He starts thinking about whether the people who took him out are actually that strong. Not long after, the reporter breaks it down. Back in middle school, Sakia landed 3rd at the National Kendo Championship. On top of that, he was the main guy leading everyone at his training spot. Getting 3rd at Nationals is actually a big deal. But his dad wasn't having it. He only cared about first place. In their family, if you're not number 1, it doesn't count for anything. That's when things really started to fall apart for Sakia. People online started saying Sakia's violent crimes probably had something to do with how intense things got in his elite family, especially with all the pressure about school and success. A few minutes later, Chainatsu noticed Geist staring at the TV, his face looking way more intense than usual. She walked over, curious about what had him so locked in. Geist just brushes it off like it's no big deal, and she doesn't really think much about it after that. She lets him know she's been trying to reach him for a bit since Manaka showed up to get him, and she gives him props for patching things up with her. Keisuke steps outside, spots Monika waiting, and they both make their way to school together. Geist checks in to see if she's okay, and she lets him know she's good, mostly because he had her back. After everything went down, she mentioned that the boxing club coach, Takeshi, was the one who gave her a ride back home. When they get to school, Geist suddenly bows, trying to apologize to Manaka as she leaves. She didn't see that coming, so she wants to know why he's the one saying sorry when Sakia was clearly in the wrong. Geist owns up to dragging her into this mess since he wasn't paying enough attention. At the same time, he lets her know that walking away from Susano isn't exactly simple right now. Manaka lets him know that last night freaked her out, not just from what those guys nearly pulled, but also seeing him get wrecked right in front of her. She can't help but get uneasy thinking about him pulling off those wild streaming stunts all the time. The idea that something could actually happen to him one day really messes with her head. Now she gets it. He's not messing around. This is his only shot to help Chinatsu, so she decides to let him do his thing and stops trying to hold him back. She wants to be there for him even if it's not a lot. She just hopes he'll let her back him up, even in small ways. Geist didn't see that coming. Monica suddenly takes off, racing to class before the bell rings, and they end up late. As she's sprinting, she spots Casina running too. Suk looks the same, talks the same, and even sounds just like he always does, but there's something off about him that you can't quite put your finger on. He pops into her mind when she remembers the way he always had her back. She starts questioning if this guy is actually Kasuke or not. While all this is going on, Kane spots Tokura and lets everyone know she's with the weekly Raime paper. She dropped by yesterday hoping he'd talk to her today, but he just left her on read. She waits outside his door, and since he won't let her in, she just decides to say what's on her mind right through the door anyway. She lets Takura know that back in the day, he was part of the Special Forces unit with the Ministry of Defense. 8 years ago, he was actually on the team that pulled off the embassy staff rescue mission. She couldn't believe the Japanese Special Forces actually got called in just to handle a terrorist situation from outside the country. The one who actually sorted everything out wasn't some Special Forces guy or anyone from the army nearby. There was just one guy on the mission, and people started talking about it online. That just sounds like some random story people made up about a guy called Geist. She's been trying to figure this person out, but right then, the door just swings open out of nowhere. Takura wonders what she's going to do now that she knows the truth about Ghost. Later, Tokura opens the door for her and points out that she's actually kind of impressive. She must know her stuff as a journalist if she managed to find out about Murakumo, since that unit's not even supposed to be real. She wonders if Murakumo was some kind of elite squad put together by the Ministry of Defense. He lets her know the name actually comes from that legendary sword everyone says protects the country. He thinks they weren't anything special, not even as good as a busted useless blade. He brings up what happened in Dornesia, saying they were basically stuck and couldn't make a move since the big politicians had too much say. Keen wanted to know if all this started because everyone was fighting over who gets the mining rights. Deep under Dornesia's land, there were rare earth deposits just sitting there, untouched, all because other countries kept playing political games. Takura can't help but be impressed by how much she's looked into all this. 8 years back in Dornesia, Takura, the guy in charge of the squad, hit up the base, wanting answers about how much longer they had to wait around while the hostages' lives were on the line. Back then, people had just found out that Dornesia had rare earth elements under its land. Dornesia didn't have the tech to dig them up on their own, so all the big countries kind of circled around, watching each other, waiting to see who'd make the first move for those mining rights. Lieutenant Takura gets a heads up over the radio to chill with his comments, since whatever the top brass says goes, no questions asked. Meanwhile, the other big players eyeing the mining rights don't want Japan looking like the hero after the whole terrorist mess. They're not about to let Japan score points and get ahead in grabbing those rights. So, their squad had to just sit tight even when they knew they could have helped the hostages who were right there. Out of nowhere, one of Takura's guys lets him know they finally got the embassy on the line again. Word got out that all the terrorists were taken down, and the hostages made it out okay. When Takura and his guys hear the report, they all freeze. No one saw that coming, and you can tell it throws them off big time. Nobody had mentioned any other squad moving in, so it caught them off guard. Out of nowhere, a guy shows up on the roof. The place looked totally abandoned, like nobody had been there in forever. Everyone said his eyes were straight up ice cold, and he gave off this quiet vibe that kinda made you uneasy, like he was dangerous but barely even there. The guy started disappearing, and Takura could only catch a glimpse of him before he was just gone. Right now, Kanai finds out that Geist was actually real, and it totally catches him off guard. She's pumped about landing this interview, since it's the first time she's actually gotten a witness who saw Geist before anyone else. Takura steps in and tells her to quit, saying she just isn't the right one for this. He didn't let her into his room to chat about Geist, he just wanted to give her a heads up. She gets totally lost. He lets her know he used to be in the Ministry of Defense's Special Forces, which is a pretty elite squad. If she keeps going down this path, she's gonna end up stuck, jobless, and miserable later on, just like him. He's just scraping by in this run-down, sketchy apartment, living off what's left of his severance. He blames Guy for how things turned out for him. He warns her that if she tries to mess with him, she's basically asking for trouble. He even tells her straight up to go ahead and find out for herself. He decided to drop the investigation, thinking it was better for her and her family. Kanai watches him leave, thinking about how some things in life just aren't meant to be messed with. She's locked in on finding out what really happened, and nothing's gonna make her quit until she gets to the bottom of it. She started thinking that Geist could be the one who ended her sister's life. Takura just stood there, totally stunned. He didn't even know what to say. A while later, two guys were chatting about their experiment not really going as planned. The new drug just wasn't working the same for everyone they tested. Some people handled it, others didn't. One of the guys throws out the idea that they should pressure the bosses to bring in more specimens. The other guy's still stuck, trying to figure out why no one's tracked down where it all started. As they're chatting, a woman starts vacuuming close by. One of the guys isn't having it and tells her to take the noise somewhere else so they can keep talking. Says sorry real quick and then just dips out. The other guy lets his coworker know they probably shouldn't be talking about this stuff when there are random people nearby. They slipped into a more private spot in the building so they could keep the convo going without anyone interrupting. She just keeps cleaning, not bothered by anything going on around her. Geist has his eye on her, looking through the scope, totally focused. He checks out the spot and knows for sure that this is where Izanami Pharmaceuticals is set up. Izanami Pharmaceuticals blew up fast over the last few years, and Geist showed up because of something that went down earlier. 5 hours earlier, he linked up with Takeshi to find out where his fight money actually ended up. He got the green light, so he started tracking where all the fight money was coming from. Then he stacked that info up against the way his own cash moved around. The money went through a bunch of different companies, all tangled up in a long process. They all had one thing in common, Izanami Pharmaceuticals. Right now, he's getting ready to sneak into their building. He shoots his grapple hook at the building and swings himself over, locked in on his next move. He's hoping that checking out this building will help him dig up something about the guy who took out Geist. During a flashback, this woman jumps on her computer, ready to break into his system, but the security is way tougher than she expected. She finally manages to break in and snag the blueprint for the military place they're going after next. 7 years back, she looked over at Geist. He told her she was still sharp, calling her Amane like always. She messed around, hinting he should hype her up even more, and then added something else. He's good to go as long as he's got Uzume, that hacking tool she gave him. He doesn't need backup. He can handle this solo. She hands over the password for the dark web spot where she kept the program, so now he can just log in and grab it himself. He's caught off guard and wants to know if she's really serious, because this is her main way to get by. Amani lets him know it'd honestly suck more for her if her top customer didn't make it. She says he should try using the tool, anything to up his chances, even a little. Geist gives her a quick thanks, and she lets him know there's something else on her mind. He doesn't really think much of it and just reaches out, touching his own hand like it's nothing. Geist, on the other hand, starts looking pretty uneasy. Someone's hand suddenly drops onto Imani's head. Turns out it's another girl who shows up and reminds Iman she's always warning her not to hang around the teacher too much. Iman asks her to chill, but things heat up fast and suddenly they're arguing about who's actually the little kid in the room. Right now, Geist grabs Imani's gadget and pulls up the blueprints for the Izanami building. Nobody really knows where Amani comes from or how old she is, but she's got this insane talent for picking up info. She's basically the go-to person whenever someone needs the inside scoop. Back then, she really had Geist's back and bailed him out more than once. Geist checked out the Uzume tool and noticed the top floor was eating up way more power compared to the other floors. There's definitely something going on there. He gets to the top floor pretty quick and slides his key into the door, unlocking it. As soon as he steps inside, he spots a bunch of capsules just sitting there. He walks in and spots the killer's pin, rocking that weird logo he's never seen up close before, and it catches him off guard. As soon as he puts his hand on one of the capsules, before he knows it, somebody sprints by and tries to take a swing at him. He dodges just in time. Geist drops down and sticks the landing, but he can't figure out how the attacker got so close without him noticing. He notices right away that the attacker really knows how to handle a knife, so it's clear this guy isn't just some amateur, he's dealing with a pro. Before long, the guy charges at him again, knife ready, looking like he's not letting up anytime soon. Geist keeps slipping out of the way, backing up each time and never letting himself get caught. He notices something weird about the way he's moving, like he's done this before, but there's no time to think. The attacker's already right on top of him. Right when he's about to get jumped, out of nowhere, somebody tossed a stun grenade. Out of nowhere, the cleaner grabs Geist's hand and pulls him off to the side. She shoves him straight into the garbage chute, and they both drop right into a dumpster below. She's clearly annoyed, blaming him for messing things up and forcing her to waste her secret escape plan. She points out that she went through all the hassle to sneak into his enemy's place, but now it's all ruined because of him. She's caught up in her own thoughts, not even noticing that Geist is kind of thrown off. He can't help but notice how much she looks like someone he knows. It's almost unreal. He ends up calling out to her not long after. Amane definitely didn't see that coming. Not long after, Amane drives Geist in her car. She looks at him and basically says there's no shot a skinny dude like him is actually Geist. She thinks her Geist looks way better, is way hotter, and just has more style than everyone else's. She's driving around trying to figure out where to let him out when Geist suddenly drops a code out of nowhere. She doesn't get what's going on. He lets her know that the password she gave him actually worked, and he managed to use it to grab the hacking tool. He admits Uzume actually helped him out, even though he couldn't help but roll his eyes at how goofy the password was. Amani just stares at him, completely lost for words. She wanted to make sure it was actually him, so she brought up the name of her first crush. He answered with the name, no hesitation. She wants to know if he remembers that one song she played at her own funeral. He nods, letting her know he does. She gets curious and wants to know what those last numbers in the password stand for, so she asks him. He reminds her that this is the day they actually met for the first time. Amanus couldn't hold it in and just let out a loud scream. She starts struggling to keep the wheel steady, and it's obvious she can't control the car anymore. Terrorism and wars aren't just happening in one place, they're problems all over the world. No one ever hears about the agents called Geist. They handle problems quietly, staying hidden so nobody even knows they're out there. Geist can't handle everything alone. He relies on people like Amane who dig up info, plus guys who handle weapons and supplies. Usually, only these close contacts know who he really is. After a while, they head down into the subway. Geist wants to know what's up with Yuan, so Amani lets him know that the old gunsmiths didn't make it. He wants to know what happened to Olivia Blitz and Stephen Licht, so she explains that the CIA agent and both her team members didn't make it. Geist notices almost everyone who used to back him up has disappeared, and it's only been 5 years since he died. Most of the people Amani was close to aren't around anymore. Geist realizes they probably took him out and then ended up joining the same group as the guy who did it. Geist wanted to know how she managed to stay out of trouble this whole time. She just let him know that taking her down isn't as easy as it looks. She lets him know there's still someone out there connected to Geist who hasn't been taken out yet. She refers to her as Tokura, the Japanese curry girl, someone who always brought serious energy and caught Geist's eye for a bit. But after Geist was gone, word got around that Tokura took some cash that wasn't hers and ended up losing her job. While they're still talking, Kanai quietly dips out of Tokura's place. On the subway, Amani explains that Tokura wouldn't do something like that. She's always been up front, so odds are someone set her up. Amani heads out and shows them the way to the hideout. She goes on to say the bunker was made for Finland's last big fight during the Pacific War. Since nobody marked it on any maps, the whole country basically forgot it was even there. She dives onto the bed, catching her breath, and lets everyone know they finally found the place after running around for what felt like forever. After a while, she calls out that Safety Geist really only looks out for one person more than anyone else. She lets him know straight up that if he even thinks about saying sorry for what happened to her or any of their friends who died, she's not having it. Geist finally brings up Mina, wanting to know what's up with her. Amani figured she was still out there somewhere, since if anything had happened to her, her name would have popped up in the system by now. Amani's sure Mina's still out there. He knows she wouldn't go down that easy, especially since she was Geist's only apprentice. She gives him a soda since guys working underground can't have alcohol, and then asks him something. After 5 years, he couldn't believe he somehow ended up back in high school. Geist switches things up and asks her if she grabbed anything while she was in Izanami. She tells him Izanami's setup is locked in tight, no way to break in easy. Geist's caught off guard since he knows Amani's pretty good at this stuff. She realized her pride just took a serious hit. She tried working as a cleaning lady for 3 months, but in the end, she didn't really get anywhere with it. After a while, she points out that the only shot at getting closer is by climbing up. He started climbing the ranks with Susano, aiming to become the champ. While all that's going on, Geist's killer is chilling and checking out a replay of the fight between his guard and Geist. Watching how Geist moved, he's honestly impressed. Dude's skills really stand out. He's trying to figure out who this guy even is, and how he managed to reach the top floor without a single guard or security dude catching him. He can't stop thinking about who this random person might be. He realizes his guard is actually a woman and basically lets her know to show him some respect next time. He thinks it's pretty interesting how this guy throws down just like someone he used to know. He pushes his fingers right through the screen, smashing it like it's nothing. He mentions they might have to start looking into things. A while after that, Monica started showing Chinatsu how to do some math, and Chinatsu picked it up right away like it was nothing. Chinatsu points out to Monica that teaching feels way easier with her than it ever does with her brother. She mentions her brother's been caught up with his own stuff these days, so he can't really help her out right now. She notices her big brother's acting a bit different lately, and she can't really explain why. She starts thinking maybe she's the reason her brother's been going way too hard on himself, and it's got her stuck in her own head. She can tell her brother's drifting off, like he's becoming someone she barely knows anymore. Monica just stays quiet, realizing Chinatsu totally nailed it with what she said. She sees Kisuke going all out for Chinatsu, and it makes her think maybe Kisuke's been acting different because he's just grinding way too hard to keep up with this fight. She finally reaches out, grabs Chinatsu's hand, and lets her know that everything's alright. She lets her know that Kisuke's her brother, and he's not leaving anytime soon. She lets Chinatsu know she's not letting Kisuke bail. Monica makes up her mind she's gonna have Kisuke's back no matter what. She always thinks she's not strong or someone people can count on, but deep down she really doesn't want to lose the good guy Kisuke was before. Chinatsu randomly asks if she's talking about her brother like she's into him or something. Monica instantly pulls her hands back, her face turning bright red. She has no clue what's going on, so she looks at Chinatsu, trying to figure out what she means. Chinatsu copies what she said earlier about keeping Kisuke close and tries to call it love, but Monica quickly points out she never actually said that. Chinatsu let Manaka know she was totally cool with her and her brother hanging out. She said Manaka should just talk to him directly next time instead of coming to her. Manaka, though, made sure to tell Chinatsu not to mess with her about it. After a while, Chinatsu lets Manaka know he appreciates her. She didn't see that coming. Not long after, Geist shows up. Chinatsu comes outside to meet him. She didn't expect to see him walk in with Kanai in his arms. He spotted him knocked out cold from drinking too much, just lying there in the elevator hallway. He helps her sit down in a chair, noticing right away that her interview must have been rough today. Not long after, Kanai starts going off about some guy who just sulks all the time and never does anything. She brings up how he once told her he's done with getting close to people and then calls him out for acting like a self-obsessed pretty boy. She tells Keisuke not to end up stuck on old stuff forever like someone who never moves on. Geist has no clue who she means, so he just keeps working on getting her shoes off, not really paying attention to the rest. After a while, Kanai notices he's not feeling so good. Chinatsu grabs her and hurries her to the bathroom so she can throw up. Geist spots Monica, and it catches him off guard. He appreciates that she kept an eye on Chinatsu while he was gone. She just shrugs it off, letting him know she actually had a good time, then looks at him, trying to figure out why he seems off. Geist just stays quiet and doesn't give a straight answer. He mentions that he wants her to meet someone tomorrow. The next day rolls around, and Monica links up with Amane. Amane's going by the name Nene Amatsuka now, and she lets Monica know she's also Keisuke's manager. Monica just stands there looking totally lost. Takeshi lets her know that once a Susanoo fighter hits C-class, their pay jumps way higher than before. Instead, they've got to handle all their own fights, setting them up, checking out who they're up against, and figuring out where to throw down. Most guys don't want to deal with all that, so they usually just bring in someone else to manage it for them. Guys in C rank get to squad up and make these contractor teams called clans. Out of nowhere, Geist straight up invites Takeshi to join his clan, keeping it respectful. Takeshi lets him know he's already locked in, at least in his head. The three of them were caught up in their celebration when Manaka suddenly showed up and wanted to know who Amane was. Geist lets him know there's a lot to explain. Amane grabs Geist's hand and holds on, making it clear that she's connected to him in a way that can't be broken. Manaka sees this, and it totally catches her off guard. She tries to figure out what's happening with Geist, but right when she does, his phone buzzes and he gets distracted, so he doesn't end up saying anything back. When he sees the notification pop up, he gives you a heads up. He finds out who he's going up against. In the back room at a sumo wrestling spot, 3 dudes tried to gang up on this one guy thinking they had it in the bag, but he just stood his ground, not moving an inch, and that honestly caught them off guard. The guys start thinking Rishindo might actually have roots coming out of his feet or something. Not long after, Rishindo's manager shows up to let him know his next fight is already set. He finds out it's this super hyped rookie who shot up to C rank way faster than everyone expected. Rishindo gets hyped. He sends 3 big dudes flying all at once. He lets his manager know he's hoping the next opponent isn't as easy as the last ones. A while later, the clan squad rolled up to the boxing club room over in the old school building. Even though they're tearing it down next year, Kishi thinks it'd be cool if they started using the spot as the main hangout for their clan. Takeshi spots that the rest of the group isn't paying attention. They're all caught up in sorting out their love triangle drama. Manaka hears the story and wants to make sure she's got it right. Amane really did know Keisuke's dad, just like she was told. Manaka still looks like he's not buying it. Geist starts talking about how Amane used to work for a company that teamed up with his dad's business. Back in the day, whenever he'd visit his dad at work, he'd run into her a couple times. He mentions that she's actually pretty good at what she does, but she messes around sometimes. So Amane says sorry for how she acted and tries to chill Manaka out by saying she's got a thing for older guys. Manaka looks like a weight just got lifted off his shoulders and lets everyone know he's definitely single. Amane can tell she's totally relieved, and honestly, messing with someone that innocent is kind of fun for her. It's just like how things used to be. After a while, Manaka points out how Amane definitely looks way older than everyone else, and that hits Amane hard. Amane spun around, clearly annoyed, and Geist just told Manaka to chill and let her go. Manaka honestly didn't even get what was up. It didn't take long before Takeshi jumped in and cut through the tension. They get to work tidying up the boxing club room, picking up gear, and putting everything back where it belongs. As Amane was tidying up, he let Geist know that if they got too into the details with their story, they'd probably start slipping up. The night before, Geist and Amane sat down and talked about what they wanted to do next. In the flashback, Geist let her know he was going for the top spot as champion of Susano. Then he looked at her, kind of testing if she really understood what it meant for him to get there. Word on the street is that if he makes it this far, the people running Susano will pretty much grant him whatever he wants. That's what Amane heard, and she lets him know. So, in Japanese mythology, Izanami and Susanoo are actually parent and kid gods. Amani found out something wild. She's got proof that both companies are linked. After sneaking into Izanami before, she's pretty sure their crew has enough power to actually make any wish come true. Geist thinks it could actually be real, but only if they've got the cops and the government on their side. Later on, Amani lets them know that breaking into their system the way they normally do isn't really going to work this time. She decides to just chill and wait it out, knowing the organization will end up coming to them anyway. Geist lets her know it's not going to be simple, so she owns up. No one's ever actually taken the champion spot in Susanoo. She wonders if there's ever been a time when the two of them couldn't pull off a mission together. Right now, Amane is starting to realize this next fight isn't going to be easy. Earlier she was confident, saying her team always pulls through, but now she knows this one's actually going to be tough. Nobody saw it coming. Rashindo showed up, and this dude's a legit sumo wrestler in the top league, so his size was on another level. Monica wasn't really sure what was going on, so he tried to figure out what Mikuchi actually was. Takeshi breaks it down for everyone. There are around 600 sumo wrestlers out there. Only 42 make it to the top division, known as the Mikuchi. These guys are the real deal straight-up pros of the sport. Rashindo stands at 190 centimeters and weighs in at 200 kilos. He's basically one of the biggest guys in Mikuchi. Next to him, Keisuke looks like he's got zero shot. Takeshi lets Geist know that once he hits C rank, he can start saying no to matches. But if he does, he's going to lose some points, and there's a real chance he could drop back down in rank. Takeshi lets Geist know this guy is just on another level and tells him to back out, even if it stings. Geist sits back and checks out a video of Rashindo. He notices the cloth wrapped around Rashindo's waist and points it out, calling it a Kesho Mawashi. Takeshi points out that it's a Mawashi, the special belt wrestlers rock when they step into the ring, and usually, it's something their sponsor hooks them up with. Geist didn't see that coming, but he lets Takeshi know he's down to take the match, catching Takeshi totally off guard. Kane's just hanging out, watching a sumo match on TV. She's pretty relaxed, just kicking back. Geist walks in and notices Kane's already home, which catches him off guard since he wasn't expecting her back this soon. Kanae greeted him and let him know she'd taken a paid day off from work. She was hoping everyone could hang out and grab dinner together that night. She's stuck on the spot, admitting she had a little too much to drink. Geist just tells her to chill and not force it. Geist wanted to know where Chinatsu was, and Kane told him she went out to grab some medicine for her headache. She talks about how Chinatsu is honestly the best, then starts beating herself up, thinking she's really dropping the ball as a guardian. Kenny keeps thinking she should pull herself together, but before she does, she's determined to figure out what's really going on. She knows it's not just for her. Kisuke and Chinatsu matter too. Later on, Geist brings up sumo, and Kenny's quick to say she's into it. She actually watches the Mikuchi and Juryo matches every day. It's kind of her thing. She wanted to know if he was into sumo, so he let her know he was down for it. 2 days later, the commentator jumps in and gets everyone ready for this round of the Susanoo battle. This one's got a fight where the size gap is actually wild, something you barely ever see. The commentator breaks it down for everyone, saying this is basically a showdown between a huge guy and someone way smaller. He throws out the question, wondering if Keisuke actually has a shot at beating the massive Rashindo. While all this is going down, Rashindo spots the rookie everyone's been hyping up. Turns out, the dude's just a skinny kid, not exactly what he expected. Rashindo decides he's going to show this guy what real strength looks like. Everyone watching is locked in, barely believing what's happening on the screen. The commentator lets everyone know the game's about to start soon. Rashindo just rushed straight at Geist and basically tackled him, pushing him back with all his strength. He got a warning that messing with Rashindo was a bad move, and next time around he'd seriously wish he hadn't tried it. Geist just froze, caught off guard by what happened. He ends up flat on the ground before he even knows what happened. The commentator just pretends like the match is already on, not even caring that it hasn't actually started yet. He brings up how Rashindo just slammed Geist straight into the ground, like he wasn't even trying. With his earpods in, Rashindo hears his sponsor reminding him to step it up and make the fight more entertaining, all so they can pull in more views. Rashindo lets him know things aren't done yet. Rashindo thinks nothing really happened since the kid managed to slip out of the way before he could land a hit. Not long after, Geist stands back up and gets ready to go again. The clan watches the fight and finally starts to chill out, glad things aren't looking bad anymore. Kashi thought that might have been game over for him. He notices that Geist pulled back right when the hit landed, basically killing the force behind the charge. Amani gets on the comms, checking if Geist's still good to go. He mentions he's feeling a bit lightheaded, but he's still ready to keep going. Later on, Rashindo kinda laughs and calls Geist a little punk, but it's clear he respects how Geist didn't back down during the attack. He's honestly surprised that someone new could actually dodge that. Rashindo rushes in again, going all out with another attack, but This time, Geist got it figured out and just slips right past. Crescendo glances over his shoulder to check on him. Geist swings his leg and nails him right in the face. Geist expects Crescendo to react, but the guy just stands there, totally chill, and cracks a joke about a bug on his face instead. Crescendo stands there, not even a scratch on him. At the same time, the whole clan just froze when Kisuke's kick actually connected. At the match spot, Crescendo goes straight at him again, but Geist dodges quick. Geist catches on that trying to hit the wrestler in the head just isn't going to do anything. Word on the street is, when a Mikuchi wrestler charges, it hits with about a ton of force. Crescendo tries to go after Geist, but totally whiffs and ends up crashing right into a truck, smashing up the whole side of it. Mikuchi gets slammed with these heavy hits straight to the head for 2 weeks. Every tournament basically feels like getting wrecked in a car crash every day. Takeshi thinks back to how Kisuke is crazy good at reading his opponent and always flipping their moves against them. But right now, with the size gap, none of that seems like it'll work. Crescendo goes for Geist again, but Geist barely slips out of the way just in time. He quickly notices Crescendo's speed doesn't match his size dude's way quicker than he looks. He knows if even one hit lands, he's done for. Crescendo suddenly links arms with him, and he honestly didn't see that coming. He messes around and teases him, wondering if pushing is the only thing he's got. He lets Geist know he's got 4 moves up his sleeve, then slams him face first into the ground. Takeshi jumps on the comms, telling Geist to just go with it and not fight back, basically telling him to let himself get tossed. Geist goes for it without holding back. He just drops himself down. He flips over and slides his arm free. Geist backs up fast, keeping some space between them. Takeshi checks in, making sure Geist's alright. Geist let him know that the only reason he didn't get smashed into the ground was because of him. He owns up to messing up the left side of his chest, but honestly, he thinks it's not that big of a deal. Right after, Crescendo shows up right in front of him, wanting to know who he is. He tells him to grab another bowl of Chanko and start putting on some muscle, saying he'll even let him be his personal assistant if he's down for it. Crescendo thinks back to what his manager said about making the match more exciting. He decides to cut Geist some slack, saying Geist earned a handicap for hanging in there this long. He lifts his hands, basically daring the other guy to try whatever move he's got. Geist pauses for a second, not really sure what to do next. Crescendo wants to know if he's actually nervous about facing someone who just stands there and doesn't even try to fight back. Takeshi points out to Geist that this is their shot if he manages to hit a weak spot. Even a wrestler's not walking away fine. Takeshi spots that Crescendo just opened up all the key spots right down the middle of his body. He thinks messing up like this is going to get him wrecked since he keeps sleeping on Keisuke and not taking him seriously enough. Geist looks at Crescendo, checking if he really wants to get punched. Crescendo just lets him do whatever he wants. Geist wastes no time and just rushes right up. Right as he goes in for the attack, Crescendo reveals he was just playing around. He steps in to catch him, not about to just stand there and let himself get hit. Geist knows he's done for, and Crescendo just slams him straight into the ground.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Web2 Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.